Hey there, this is Matthew Smith at Squared Eye. I wanted to give you a quick tip on using strokes and inner shadows, inner glows, things of that nature to give an extra pop on a photo and to generally hack the layers palette in Photoshop. So let's start with this example up top here. This is a picture of some camels in some desert, and I've applied an internal stroke, 100% black, but that's too much. We want to go a little more subtle. So I'd like to back it off and have a semi-opaque stroke. But if you do that in the layers palette in Photoshop, you'll find that it actually starts to knock out the opacity, and it's not actually making it the opacity, applying it to the stroke on top of the image. It's just creating this mask, right? And so what we need to do instead is find an alternative. Well, you can use inner shadow or inner glow to do the same thing. If we go to inner glow, I've set the opacity here to 50%. I've set the choke here, which determines how sharp the line is, up to 100%, and then I can adjust the size here, to be able to create the look that I want. And what I really like about semi-transparent internal strokes like this is that you can create a really nice internal border. So if we zoom in here, you can look at the insides here. Where it's darker in the photo, the stroke is darker. Where it's lighter in the photo, like here, the stroke is a little bit lighter. What's nice about that is you can imagine if we were just to apply an inner stroke of kind of a darker, gray, so that's a little bit darker than this background. Well, that works fine up here where the image is real light. Well, in fact, it looks really good. But then down here, where the image is darker, it actually creates sort of a fuzzy feeling. It's not as sharp. So to affect that in a more positive way, you can just make the internal shadow over the image, but you have to do that with an inner glow. So you can see that the same effect can be applied with another style. If you wanted to do a light option, you could come over here, do like an external stroke, a darker stroke, and on the outside it doesn't mask it, it works fine. And then you could do like an internal shadow if you wanted to. Now shadows, you can apply direction, so with them you need to turn off the direction by essentially reducing the distance to 0. Again, push the choke to 100% if that's the look you want, and then affect your size here. And that can be a nice way of creating kind of an inside pop to the way that the image looks. And then you drop your opacity down a little bit just so that it just makes that little edge shine a little bit. And then let's drop our stroke back down, maybe increase the opacity a little bit, and you can see that that makes for kind of a nice popping inside to our image. And if we want to add kind of a way for the internal stroke to have more of a bulge to it, then we can back off our choke so that it's more graduated, and increase the size a little bit and the opacity, and you can get that effect there. So all of these are going to be really nice. And the thing that I'm overly, or just in general, emphasizing is you don't always have to use stroke. You can use outer glow for what we just did as well. Drop it down to black, change this to normal, affect, in this case, the spread, and which in other areas is called the choke, and then drop it down to where you want it. So that's just a few little ways that you can hack the layer styles palette to achieve what you're looking for when stroke isn't going to work.